Hello. Wow, this is loud. I'm so happy to be back here, and I'm so happy to have you all here and online for this session about web-based maps and apps, which will all be around accessibility and inclusion. I have a panel of 4 fabulous people here sitting on my left. My name is Holger Dieterich. I'm the chairman of Sozialhelden e.V., a non-profit organization based in Berlin, Germany. I'm the co-founder also of Waymap.org, which you might just have heard. It's a map about the accessibility of places where everybody can contribute. I have an angle on apps and technology, which helps us all understand our surrounding better. What does it mean? It means that, the further out we can go, the more accessible the world is. And as we said before, there are barriers out there. And this panel here will present innovative solutions on how we can make a better sense of the world around us so that there are fewer barriers and change the world. That's what we're here for. So I will do this session. We have 4 speakers who will have around 8 minutes of presentation. If I don't hear any complaints, no, 8 minutes, it's brief. But then we will have direct feedback of 2 minutes, questions and answers for each, so that you don't have to wait so long for your questions. I will take questions from the audience here. I'm not sure if somebody here can read me questions from the online stream. I would love that. And then we go on and we'll have a swift session. How does that sound? All right. Okay. So I'll just, I say we start with Faustino Cuadrado from Apps and Town Companon. It's an innovative end-to-end navigation system allowing people with mobility impairments to use public transportation autonomously. Sorry. So can we have the slides of Faustino on the screen? And yeah, I see the clickers being handed over. And whenever you're ready.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to me to be here sharing this presentation with all the audience, the online audience and also the live audience. And for sure, I would like to thank the organization of this great event and to invite us to participate in them. My name is Faustino Cuadrado. I am the CEO of Mass Factory, which is a high-tech company spin-off from the Universitat Autònoma de Barcelona, born with the aim to create innovative products that add value to society. Our values are, first, universality. We develop systems to be used by most of the people. And second, social welfare, by using technologies to improve life of citizens. Although our name, then the company name is Mass Factory, our brand name is Up and Town. So everything you will hear here in this presentation is about Up and Town. We all know that limited access to transportation is one of the causes of exclusion and discrimination. During this presentation, we will go through Up and Town Companon, an innovative end-to-end navigation system enabling people with physical, cognitive, and sensorial disabilities and senior citizens to use public transportation autonomously. Let's illustrate how Up and Town Companon works with a video.
Je suis dans l'autobus. 12 arrêts avant de descendre. Ça me donne toutes les indications afin du souvenir et de l'avenir.
Prenez la cloche, tirez la corde et sortez au prochain arrêt. Allez au feu de circulation et traversez la rue en faisant attention.
Allô?
Salut Benjamin, c'est Simon de la STL. Parfait. Écoute, je vois qu'en ce moment, tu te diriges dans la mauvaise direction pour ta destination.
Ouais.
En ce moment, tu es sur la rue Cosmodome. Il va falloir que tu fasses demi-tour, que tu reviennes sur tes pas.
D'accord. Jusqu'à la porte d'entrée qui est juste là.
So what are our main or key differentiators? First is we have a trip planner which adapts to each individual personal skills and preferences. We take into account transport stops preferences, steepness, and even we can define the sidewalk and the pedestrian crossing where the user will go. We have an app with universal design providing comprehensive navigation instructions based on audio, text, pictograms, images, vibration, and maps suitable for any kind of people, for any kind of disabilities. And in case of any incident during the trip, the user is remotely or personally attended. We monitor things or incidents like out of route, wrong transport, the user didn't get off of the transport, and many more. Up and down Companon is the most flexible, robust, reliable, and secure navigator for vulnerable people. To do that, we have a trip planner where the route is entered and is used by the user and the caregivers, relatives, or people taking care of the users. Once we have the route, it's downloaded into the smartphone, and then the user can start the trip, and immediately after starting the trip, the user gets navigation instructions from the mobile app. At the same time, the app is sending up information concerning the status of the trip, and also the status of the mobile phone. In case of any incident, there will be always behind, as you see during the video, an operator taking care of the user and providing information to get the user back to the right track. If the incident cannot be fixed remotely, then the operator will contact the closest angel of our network in order to provide in situ assistance. What do we achieve with the system? First, users increase the number and complexity of the journeys. They are not just only commuting, they do much more trips, and with more complex trips. Relatives and caregivers improve their quality of life. They don't have to take care of the trips of the users. And there is also a reduction on travel expenses for families and public administration. If you compare the cost of the seat of the adapted transport versus the public transport, is $45 versus $3. There is a lot of savings in using our system. We already serve more than 500 users in Spain and Canada. Our customers are transport operators, transport authorities, and organization of people with disabilities. And our business model is based on software as a service. Our customers pay an annual license fee according to the number of users. The size of the market is huge. Just taking a look to Europe, Canada, and USA, we are talking about more than 1.5 million people using adapted transport, meaning more than 70 million trips a year, and with a cost above $3 billion. Nowadays, adapted transport services are limited and expensive, and they are unsustainable due to the aging of population. That's the reason because our goal is to replicate our model worldwide. We are looking for partners and customers in Europe, USA, Japan, and New Zealand. And we are also looking for 300,000 euros in order to fund our growth, which will be used for sales and marketing and technology. And just to finalize, show you the awards that we have got during our history. Zero Project for sure, but also Red Cross, Vodafone Foundation, and many others. But the most important award for us is the happiness of our users.
My name is Sophie, and I'm not born yet. But when I am, I'll be different. My parents noticed it quickly. And when I was diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder, they understood that I wouldn't be looked at like the others. Some tried to hide their glances. Some not so much. And And I can see in their eyes that I'm not like them. Today, I'll go unnoticed. I'll look just like another teenager on her phone, taking the bus. I'm free. Free to go wherever I want.
Thank you.
Thank you, Faustino. Yeah, are there any questions in the room while you're coming forward? Then I maybe start with one question. So for the ones who are at home now and say, I want this for my public transportation system, what can I do as a customer? If I want this system, how do you think you can scale this, and
Yes,
who should I talk
is
to?
not in the stores, so, or the app is not in the stores.
Can-
So, what's that? The app is not available in the stores, so we have to, as I said, our customers are transport operators or transport authorities, or organization of people with disabilities. Then the way to have our system is to ask organization of people with disabilities to contact us. Then we will contact municipalities or transport operators, and we will deploy the system in the city or the region. That's the way. If it is a city where we have already presence, it's just to contact with the organization of people with disabilities, and they will reach us easily.
So you're open to expanding to other municipalities, and then we'll talk to them. All right. Are there any questions from the audience for Faustino? I don't see any. Are there any questions online somebody can read to me? It's not the case? Okay. All right, shall we go on with the next, Ethan? So the speaker before was about public transportation, so going to places. But what's when you're inside a place? And this is where Ethan's innovation comes in. Ethan Brooks is with Waymap, and that's the world's only navigation app that guides you both indoors and outdoors. And it claims to be accurate to 1 meter with no signals required, which is astounding as somebody who knows something about indoor navigation. I'm eager to hear more from Ethan how that could work.
Thank you, Holger. I was really pleased to follow Faustino, actually, because our stories start in similar ways. The Waymap, to repeat what Holger said, the Waymap app is a navigation app that works indoors and outdoors, accurate to 1 meter and 10 degrees heading, so we know where people are facing. And that's designed to increase the mobility and independence of primarily vision-impaired people, but really we're looking to be an app for anyone, anywhere, achieving that by cracking the most challenging navigational case. So Waymap's background. The story's actually a little older than our company is. The company's been going since about 2018, but really the story goes back to 4 years earlier in 2014 when at the UK charity, the Royal Society for Blind Children, the RSBC's Youth Forum asked these young blind people a question. What's the one thing that would do the most to change your life? And the answer was pretty unanimous. They wanted to be able to travel independently on the London Underground and the equivalent for metros around the world. So at that point, the RSBC set out on a mission. That was our founder, Dr. Tom Pay, who is blind himself. And they set out to make that dream that those young people had a reality. So they set off with years of research, experimentation, and testing what technologies would work. And some things went really well, and some things less well. So what went really well is they established this enormous body of research into how to navigate vision-impaired people, what those navigational needs were, and that developed into the world's first standard for audio navigation for vision-impaired people indoors and outdoors, and that was ITU F921. And then we repeated that in the United States with the Consumer Technology Association Standard 2076. But what we found was, in order to meet the needs that we found, the technology didn't exist yet. So that's where Waymap was born, from the combination of all that experience and research that the RSBC had developed, and a piece of cutting-edge location technology which had never been deployed in this way before. So I'll skip through some slides because we haven't got loads of time. So the Waymap technology is, to use its scientific name, is a piece of pedestrian dead reckoning. That means that we measure how someone walks in order to know where they are. So fortunately for us, everybody here, I think, is already carrying around the motion sensors that we require to work. So we don't need to go in and put in any additional infrastructure, and it makes it very simple for us to deploy and make our app available. All we need is an accurate map. So how we track someone to locate them in order to give them that, those navigation instructions is on your phone, you have an accelerometer, a barometer, a gyroscope, and those are sending you constant data feeds about how your phone's moving. We have an algorithm that combines those data feeds and produces an accurate location. And we can follow people around to within 1 meter using a process called map matching, where if we know where you're moving on a map, we know there's certain directions and locations you couldn't be moving, and we know where you're most likely to be, so we can work that out exactly. So our mission is to make our app as available as possible in order to boost the accessibility of metro systems, but also indoor venues around the world. So we think we can be sustainable. We think we can continue to grow. We are currently in the process of deploying to a major US city, which we'll announce which one that is soon. And we're undertaking trials in Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. In April this year. We'll have completed the whole of that large East Coast city by the start of next year. So we'll be available on several different lines on that metro by the end of this year. So our business model is to make sure that our app is free to the user. We don't want to charge it. We don't want to charge the user at all for it. However, so that means our customers are the metro systems themselves and indoor and building owners. And that means that we need to be sustainable. We need to have those business relationships. Fortunately for us, we've been making superb progress on that front. We have commercial trials where we've been live for in the UK, in London and Birmingham, working with train providers like Avanti West Coast and Arriva Rail London. We think there's enormous opportunities going forward with Arriva and Avanti. And then in the States, we've been running trials with LA Metro, and we have one coming up in collaboration with LA Metro at LMU University in LA. So we are we're determined to try and change the world. We want to make every city as accessible as possible for the users. And as we progress, I hope we can expand across different use cases, learning from insights like the one Faustino was describing about people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, to make sure that we can serve every single user as best we can. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So maybe first to state the obvious, those solutions sound similar, But for once, the need is so huge for all this public transportation that I don't see this as any kind of competition, and I think you both agree that there's so much which needs to be done and to collaborate with so many municipalities. Ethan, my first question, and please stand up or show hands if you have a question here as well in the audience, is about a setup. So you're also talking to municipalities or to metro operators, if I understand it correctly, and you said they don't need to install anything in the metro stations, but you need the floor plans or some kind of setup, right?
Yeah.
So
our life is made an awful lot easier if the metro system already has accurate maps of its stations. If they have those accurate maps, then our deployment process is quite simple. We can ingest those floor plans, those CAD drawings of the station, and then we will need to visit the station and undertake a visual survey. So we can add in all of the different O&M information that a vision impaired person would require. And then that means, and once we've done that, we can then produce the instructions that they'll be given at those specific points along their journey. So yeah, if they have an accurate map, that makes it a lot easier. If they haven't got one, and often in the UK we have such ancient stations they haven't, we will do a handheld scan of the station, which slows us down a bit, but the last 2 trials we did in the UK required us to do those sorts of scans. So,
okay.
And we were fine.
So you help them out in to come to the digital age, basically.
Yeah. What's good news, and we're seeing this in London, is lots of the train operators and transport providers are, without us asking, because there are other uses for it, they are producing those scans of their stations and their trains, so they can do tours and keep track of their own inventory. So I think we can definitely piggyback on that innovation as well.
Okay. Can I see hands from questions from the audience? I see a hand here. It's too far to read, but maybe you just say your name.
Hello, it's Gabriela from Luxembourg. I have 2 questions to both of you. One concerns if there is any kind of constructions, because sometimes there's elevators not working or a bus line not running or stuff like that. How do you integrate that into your apps? And the second one is as you need scans of the maps of metros and all that, how do you handle all the security issues? Also the security issues for people using the app.
Shall I go first? Sure, thank you. So to take the first question, you've asked about how we keep the maps up to date and keep the routes up to date. So we integrate with the data from the metro provider. So in order to get someone to the right platform, usually the metro provider will have that information about if an escalator is out or an elevator is broken. They'll have that information live. So we can keep that up to date throughout their journey. So that would require a web connection to plan the journey and get that information. But the way our location technology works is if you lose signal, Waymap won't lose you. So you don't need that constant connection in order to complete your journey and not get lost. With the second question about security, there's 2 points there. I think there's the security of the maps, so our customers' maps. We can close off those maps. So although you might give us the floor plans of the entire station, we don't need to make the entire station or venue available to the user. We can close off and put artificial walls in. So to make sure that the only places that people are being guided and people are giving information are given information about are the areas that our customers want us to do. And then the second point there, I think, is the security for the user. Because all the location calculations happens locally on the device, it's not happening on the server. That means that there's far less back and forth of data, and so we don't need as much information about you because it's all happening locally on the device. That might change with 5G because we do want to move that computation from the device onto the edge, the mech. But for now, all that's happening locally on the device. Mm-hmm. Do you want to go?
Faustino, you have anything to add? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in our case, in order to deploy the system, we have to work with the transport operators, and we are using two kinds of information. The first one is what we call static information concerning the stops, lines, and also the tracks, the path of each transport. And we also need the online, the live information, real-time information regarding the expected arrival time, and also any kind of incident might occur in the network. And in case of our customers are transport operators. In some cases, the control center of the transport network is just beside the control center of our service, so they have close contact, and we know at real time if there is any problem in the network.
So before we move to Fiona, we want other sentence about elevators. So it's actually data we have in Waymap and which we collect from the operators. In Germany, for example, we have roughly 4,000 live information from elevators, and we're actually building a sensor for older elevators who are not connected to the internet. And this is data which you can both use. And I think this is where digitization actually helps to say, like, okay, this is one blip of information which is crucial for somebody, and it needs to be there on the right time. But moving on, so Fiona Jarvis, on my far, far left here, I can hardly see her, is our next distinguished speaker. She's with Blue Badge Style Access Gallery from the United Kingdom, and she will talk about how shop owners or venues actually can show their accessibility before people decide to go there, if I understand it correctly. So Fiona, over to you.
Thank you. I'm from Blue Badge Style, founded in 2012 when the Paralympics came to London. And we're all about redefining disability with style. This is not just a vanity project. This is not just a vanity project. Psychologists say that when your body doesn't work, the one thing you can control is your sense of style, and therefore it enhances your well-being. And we're all about getting people out there and enjoying life, a freedom that should be shared. I just want to state that is not a picture of me on the trapeze. So let me tell you a story about the problem. A recent visit to Lisbon, I was invited to a Michelin-star restaurant, and which doesn't happen often. So we made 5 phone calls to make sure that it was accessible, and yet there were still surprises. Number 1, we couldn't park outside, so we had to find somewhere to park. I had to negotiate the cobbles of Lisbon. We got to the restaurant, and although they said, yeah, it's wheelchair accessible, there was a 5-inch step to get in. So I didn't mind 2 burly, handsome waiters taking me up the steps, but I can assure you a young guy in a wheelchair would find that quite undignified. So I got into the restaurant, I got to the table, and I couldn't get my wheelchair under the table. So I had to eat my dinner at a distance, trying not to spill stuff down my front, which I do a lot. And then after drinking just a little bit too much champagne, I wanted to go to the disabled toilet, which they assured me was there. And it was. The only problem was the corridor to the disabled toilet was too narrow for my wheelchair. Not good enough. So the solution to these problems, in my view, is for venues to adopt access galleries. Now, one thing we all know is that disabilities vary. Now, everyone thinks that a disabled toilet is the same wherever you go. I can assure you it isn't. Even in Vienna, it was completely different to the toilets we have in the UK, so you have to then adjust to what different countries are offering you. So on the left here, on my left anyway, there's an evil toilet, which there's a disabled toilet. It's so near but so far, except for the 3 steps you have to negotiate to get up to it. On the right is it's a perfect disabled toilet, a good disabled toilet. All the rails in the right place, the right height, and it actually looks nice. It's not just clinically white. And in the middle is what I would call an evil ramp. I defy any Paralympian to get up that ramp. So the solution is detailed and accurate information, which is what we do through our website and app. And we also have a tick rating system that rates on accessibility, the ambience or the style of the place, and also on the facilities, i.e. either the hotel bedroom or the disabled toilet. In the UK, I'm now known as the Queen of the Disabled Toilets, something I never aspired to. So the Access Gallery, we put the onus on the venues. They've got plenty of money. They should be telling us what their place looks like. And access galleries are a key product to Blue Badge Style, and they range from €100 to 10,000. And that would be for a full virtual guide that goes on their website. You can see more on this link. And an access gallery, as I say, treats the disabled person as a customer rather than a compliance issue, something I'm sure everybody can understand. It depicts a journey through a venue, right from the pavement to the hotel room or to the restaurant or to the disabled toilet. And it is for people with multiple disabilities. So it's not just wheelchair access, it's also if you're partially blind, deaf, or have cognitive issues. The benefits to a venue to adopt these is that it gives them access to a latent market, which we estimate at about 200 to 300 billion in Europe, in hospitality alone. It also gives you a return on investment on the facilities you've put into a hotel. There is a lower occupancy for disabled rooms, and I would suggest the reason for that is you're not telling people you've got disabled rooms. Another story I want to share is that in the UK, 10% of hotel rooms now have to be accessible. A hotelier, I won't name, put in his cheapest, ugliest rooms, only for them to be torn out once he'd got the approved building control regulation for the building, and just didn't use the accessible rooms, he just destroyed them. Crazy. So, the other issue that hoteliers and restaurateurs must have is that I spent 5 phone calls in that restaurant, using up probably half a man-day's effort of people trying to tell me what their place looked like. Whereas if they had an access gallery, they could just look on their website as a permanent training tool for staff. And it also, the Access Gallery also, in the UK, we have an anticipatory element to the Equality and Human Rights Commission view on disability, i.e. venues must anticipate that people with disabilities are going to visit. Now, a way to overcome that is to put on your website details of your access. It's also a fast and low-cost way to improve your accessibility overnight. Not to say it's the right thing to do. So I was going to do a quick demo of the app. I can't, oh, here we are. I'm not sure I can actually, oh, here we go. So it sorts the venues either by accessibility or by name, or you've also got a map you can look at and find places nearby. This is the actual gallery itself, which is moving very quickly. You click on it and it shows you, for example, parking and what the parking rules are outside a venue. And it does that with architectural overlays and pointers. And it will show what the entrance is like, what the reception area is like, if there's an induction loop, if you're hard of hearing. We also detail where there are brighter lights for those who are visually impaired. And we'll look at the nearest disabled toilet to reception, which is always something I want to know, because usually after a long journey, I'm dying to use a disabled toilet. Then we'll go through the corridors, go to the room, the entrance to the room, have a look at that. We'll take note of the room, where everything is, what height things are. And we'll also look at what facilities they provided, for example, an alarm that goes under your pillow if there's a fire. And then we'll look at the bathroom, check that how many grab rails there are. I need at least 3 grab rails. Some people need 1. A lot of people need ones that retract so you can transfer onto the toilet or the shower seat. And we'll also look at the common areas like the restaurant, the bar, and tell you what that's like as well.
Okay. So we are a little out of time. You have maybe 1 more minute?
Okay. Well, all I wanted to do was just to tell you that we want venues to aspire to the Blue Badge style standard of accessibility. We want users to engage with our app, with giving us reviews. And we want inclusion on the streets of Europe and globally. And we'll see more people out there enjoying themselves. We want to employ disabled people in Europe through using their photographers and reviewers for our website. And we want no more surprises. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Fiona. So one thing I think we can all agree on, more information is always better. Like, this is a good example. Fiona showed like how many details are relevant for accessibility. Just amazing how Access Gallery is showing all this in a nice map and with photos. Other questions for Fiona from the audience? Okay, I don't see any hands. So one question from me, Fiona. So how do you reach the local businesses? How do they react to you?
How are we developing the business?
Yeah, like the venues you go to and say, like, do you want this? What's your usual feedback?
Yeah, I mean, we point out the benefits to the venue, i.e. they get a return on the facilities they've installed. They get access to a latent market. In the UK, they've reckoned it's 274 billion is missed in revenue to not just hospitality, to all businesses by not just telling people about their disabled facilities.
Yeah. What I heard often that people were not even aware that accessibility is an issue, that they say like, we never had somebody in a wheelchair as a customer. There's like, no wonder there are steps at the entrance, you know, so that this is also a good moment to have this first conversation to raise awareness. Okay, so we come to our last speaker. Carlo Castellano is here to tell you about a different angle on maps and accessibility for people who drive individually, because it's all about parking places. Take it away, Carlo.
Thank you, Holger, for the introduction. And first of all, I want to thank all the organization, SL Foundation and Zero Project, for receiving and for the jury for this award this year. For the people who cannot see me, I'm middle 50 with a white shirt and a red tie. And I will present here a personal project based on a personal need that I guess it's really important to explain how it's possible be impaired and entrepreneur at the same time, you know. Bear in mind, for example, something like this. Imagine I've been by plane and I got the taxi, but imagine that I was living very close to this city and I decided to come by car. Okay, by my personal car. How I could park just in front of very similar to this place, and imagine that I'm lucky and I find 2 spots, PRM spot, and I'm busy and they're occupied regularly. Can I park in other places? Stop for a while and think about that. I come back in a while, okay? Let me say that this is one of the most important problems that more than 6 million people currently driving or companion suffer in the market. And this is the background. And my project is based on a UN recommendation from 1998 that says in 2 rows that our group is able to park wherever will not disturb the circulation. What does it mean? It depends on the country, in the region, and in some countries, even from the city, if I can or not park in load and load, blue area, and whatever. Sometimes I have a time, half an hour, sometimes not. Sometimes I have to pay, but park. So it's completely a nightmare for us, okay? And on top of that, our problem is, imagine that there is some incidents. I find that somebody is misusing the park, is parking with no EU parking card, or I'm parking and I open my door for my wheelchair, but there is somebody parking on the sidewalk and I cannot do this. How can I inform the authorities? There are no way. So how we try to address this? Changing the paradigm, because it's true that some cities in Europe are developing in a 20th century's way this, to solve this problem. You know how? Looking to their bell. Okay, I just put some spot I can go through and give you the possibility to know this. Yes, but imagine that I'm in a tourist location and I want to go to the beach in the morning, have the lunch in the second city, and in the evening I want to have a dinner in another place. What I have to do? To download 3 apps? Only in Spain there are more than 8,000 cities. It's completely impossible. That's why we developed the first European cross countries and solution that allow to the final user in a very free way. It's a web and app. You can plan your trip by web, and then with your app, you know in whatever moment where the spots are, which are the rules to park in this city, in the local city. You can be driving up to there, and if there are some sensors that we can provide, you can also know if they are available or not, or include, you can reserve, you can book for a while. Imagine that you have to go to the hospital and come from 200 kilometers far away, and you would just need to park for 1 hour for your, why not? This is possible. And if I want to inform to the authorities, I have to go down, and if I am, I have the data inside, I have internet, because there are people that don't have, you know, this possibility. I have to check which is the number of the local police, or no way. We can do this through part for these people for free. And we also address a certain number of additional problems to the local authorities, tourism board, increasing the accessible tourism, and all regional provinces, allowing to keep this data that sometimes very few provide in open data, but they are very old and not alive. You know, we can provide statistics in the user of this spot in order to plan in a correct way, and also to manage the database of a local user and solve and just inform to the police and manage this alert that are user incidents, but also live alert that comes from sensor or whatever if you exceeded the parking time or whatever, okay? But especially we're fighting whilst the misuse of the parking spots and the fraud, because it's a fraud of the EU parking card, the fact that we give, and this is a common use in more countries, not only the Latin one where we come from, like Spain and Italy, but I give you my card to my nephew in order to go to the beach or to go to the center of the city and park, because there is only visual way to, because it's a cartoon, it's just paper, there is no intelligence. We provide this intelligence to solve this problem, which is the impact. More than 300 users, more than 250 cities in Europe, main in 6 countries, main in Spain, and more than 42,000 spots already mapped and verified, even with collaborative like other maps, but we always double check before approving this spot and these roads in our platform. This is our big difference, okay? Promote the accessible tourism, and especially, as I told you, we are fighting whilst these 2 big misuse, the parking and the cars. We are in 3 main acceleration programs. One is the ONCE Foundation 1. The second one is Ship2Be. These are the very important foundation in Spain, but especially we are hosted in Fundación Prevent. That is one of the most important European association too. We are in their spaces and co-working, and they are significantly collaborating with us. And we also own a certain number of awards. I'm very proud to be named like the Spanish Entrepreneur with Disability 2020 in Spain. How we address by a financial point of view? We sell from a mobility as service paradigm, we sell the subscription, and we also, like association, we go through philanthropy and CSR. And next step is improving and growing in all Europe, and also to develop significant new features. And we want to change the paradigm from smart city, from smart human city. Well, the user is the center of the project, not the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carlo. Applause for Carlo. So we are out of time. I'm sorry. So one more question? Or? Okay, so if we have one more question from the audience for Carlo. I don't see hands. Don't be shy. So I have one question for you, Carlo.
Yeah,
so I truly believe that all this information, what we've seen here today, data which has been collected, is one useful, but it's also a demand, right? So have you seen change of behavior of cities that they say now that we know that there are not enough accessible parking spots, for example, or that there's even fraud, that they do something? Or do you see that data and information can help with this?
Yes, especially in Spain, where there are a law that obliges the cities to assign one spot every 40 that you sign in whatever way, and there are accessibility rights, rules that oblige to assign at least 2 or 1 or 3 spots in front of the main building, like hospital. They realized that they were not complying with this. So it's also a way to help the local authorities to comply with these laws and rules.
Okay, so it's important to know where you can go and where you can't go, so that you can make your voice heard and have change and impact, be it in public transportation systems, talk to your municipalities, to your metro owners, and demand systems which actually help people with different disabilities. Talk to venues that you want to know more details about accessibility, so that it also makes them aware on what they might improve and change, even with parking and the places which all surround us. Let's help all together to make them more accessible. So one last plug from my side. To remind you of the group activity, basically the virtual group activity. If you're listening here in from home, go to waymap.org/0 to go out and mark accessibility of the places you maybe have lunch or dinner tonight, or even parking in other venues, as well as go on the website and collaborate with all these fellow speakers. Thank you very much for this session.
Holger, I have been asked to reassert the challenge. Will you come down and join me here on the Wheelmap Challenge? Thank you, everybody, for your panel discussion. I'm just going to take this gentleman down because I believe our stream wasn't open when we did that great Bonnie and Clyde conversation. So, Holger, you were talking about the Wheel Map Challenge that we're asking everybody who is sitting at home to get out of their bedrooms or their living rooms or their kitchens, come away from their screen and help you try to essentially map the world. Will you explain what it is that you want everybody to do before the end of the conference?
Okay, so you should all have received an email an hour ago about this outdoor activity. So that means you should go outside and take your phone with you and report the physical accessibility of a place. Is there a restaurant which has steps at the entrance or maybe has a ramp and is barrier-free? Take a photo and mark it on Waymap. And what we want at the end of this conference on Friday is a world map of places where you went, wherever you are right now, so that we are all in this together and that we have an impact together. So go to wheelmap.org/0, the word zero.
Now, just be really clear, what do you mean by places? Is it parks? Is it libraries? Is it coffee shops? And what do you mean by accessibility? Just so we're all really sure.
Okay, so places is anything which is publicly accessible, because this is where we want to be. We don't want to be in separate places as people with disabilities. So it can be a library, it can be a swimming pool, whatever is open during COVID. We even done mapping events like this during a lockdown so that you can, see from the outside what's there, take a photo. So shops, coffee shops, pharmacies, anything. And with accessibility on Waymap, my co-founder is using an electric wheelchair. That's where we come from. But if you tap on Add a New Place, you will be sent to a different questionnaire with all kinds of accessibility questions about the venue. So don't be shy, add a new place or mark the wheelchair accessibility of existing places you find on Waymap.
Now, one more thing before you go. You've been doing Waymap. You're one of the co-founders for 10 years, and you have how many millions of places mapped already?
So the community has mapped more than 1 million places, and we have more than 150 partnerships with organizations similar to what you've seen on stage right now, with another 1.3 million places. So we have more than 2 million places worldwide. We are online in 32 languages, so go out, open the map, and see there might be places in your vicinity already mapped. Go out and check them again, and check new ones. Thanks.
Okay, so the aim is for 1 billion places. I think that's a good one. Thank you so much, Holger. Really appreciate it, and thank you, everybody.